Hello, I'm Chris Lashava with RE/MAX Heritage Professionals, and it can be a maze out there to determine who to hire if you're thinking of listing your home. So in this video, I want to help you out. I want to give you 12 questions to ask a prospective agent that you're going to hire to help you sell your home. So the first question you're trying to get at is your prospective agent's experience level. Now, one of the things that's important to keep in mind in real estate is that it is not the number of years in the business that gives you experience. There's a lot of agents, in fact, the vast majority of agents, that do 0 or 1 transactions a year. Where you gain experience in real estate is by the number of transactions you help close. So the number of buyers and sellers you help get to the closing table to either help buy or sell their home. That's how you gain experience in real estate. So one of the questions you want to ask is, in the past 1 to 2 years, how many buyers have you helped? And you can also ask, how many sellers have you helped in that time? Because you want to make sure your agent has experience not only as a seller's agent or listing agent, but you also want to know how much experience they have as a buyer's agent, because that'll give you and let you know how much experience and how well they may know the market. Going back to my earlier point about years in the business, if you have an agent that's been in the business 30 years, but helps between 0 and 1 person a year buy or sell a home, then you've got an agent that has 30 transactions. I myself have been in the business. I'm in my 9th year now. I've helped over 200 people in the business. So on first glance, the agent with 30 years experience may sound like the more experienced agent, but in actuality, I have done a whole lot more transactions, and so technically have a lot more experience than that 30-year agent. So that's something to keep in mind, and keep in mind again that it's not just years, it's transactions that matter in terms of experience. You can also ask, what's your average list to sale price ratio? You want to see how low they've had to have sellers lower their price in order to sell a home. Now, a caveat to that is that certain markets, sellers have to drop their price in order to sell, and we're currently in that kind of a market now. But you still want to look for the agent that in general sees the lowest list price to sale ratio compared to other agents. That's something to keep in mind. So is your listing agent that you're interviewing, is their list price to sold ratio 98% or is it 90%? That tells you a lot about what their strategy is, because you really want to know, what are they doing to get your home the most exposure. Homes with more exposure tend to sell at higher prices. You definitely want to ask the agent if they have referrals from other clients, past clients. Certainly, that one's kind of obvious. Certainly, you want to check their reviews on Google My Business, maybe Zillow, maybe the web page. But you also want to check with other agents. How well do they play with others, basically? Because at the end of the day, a real estate transaction involves a lot of people working together to get you and your buyer to the closing table. And so, does your agent have a good reputation with other agents, first of all? Does your agent have a good reputation with home inspectors, title companies, lenders? All of that matters, because the better relationship your agent has with all of the above, the smoother the transaction is going to go and the more likely you are to close, and that's ultimately the goal. You also want to ask agents what their availability is and how they prefer to communicate. And this is why sometimes it doesn't make the most sense to go to the mega agent. Yeah, they're successful, but how much are you actually going to be able to work with them? How much are you actually going to interact directly with them versus a team member? And do they have enough availability to actually assist you, or is everything you need going to be farmed out to someone else? So You also want to check and make sure your agent is a full-time agent and available to you most of the day. I don't think it's reasonable to expect them to be available to you 24/7. Agents have families and lives outside of real estate as well, but there should be reasonable expectations for when you can communicate with them, and also how to communicate with them. Do they prefer email? Do they prefer text? Do they prefer a phone call, WhatsApp, whatever it is? So make sure you have that conversation and agree up front if there are any boundaries. For example, for me, I tend to be available from 9 a.m. till about 7 or 8 p.m. unless it's a 911 emergency. I do have a family at home, so at some point I try to cut things off and spend time with the family. If you've been following me at all, you know that I have kids that play travel competitive soccer and high school soccer. And a priority for me is being at their games. And when I'm at their games, I often can't hear the phone. It's too loud to carry on a phone conversation. So I tell my clients, and if they call, for example, during a soccer game, I'll text right away and say, hey, I'm at a soccer game. I'll give you a call when we're done. And so it's important to be clear on communications and expectations. And if my clients weren't okay with that, then maybe they're not the right client for me. But I haven't had a client push back on that either. In fact, most appreciate that I'm a family man and I'm there for my kids. So, but it's important to be clear up front. If I didn't say anything about that up front and my clients expect me to be available on a Saturday morning when I'm at soccer, then I would be frustrating them. And so we want to avoid that at all costs. You want to also ask your agent how they handle multiple offers and what their negotiation style is, maybe give you some examples. Now, we're not in a multiple offer situation very often in this current market, but during the pandemic, that was pretty commonplace. And so making sure that your agent has a protocol and a plan in place for those types of situations, and asking what their negotiation style is. I recently did have a situation where we had multiple offers. We had an investment property, it was an inherited property, and we had a strategy we wanted to go in with, knowing that it was probably going to go to investor, and so we sent it, and investors always want off market. So before we went on market, we sent it to about 50 investors that we had to see if we could get a cash offer that was kind of where my clients wanted it to be, with the plan of then doing a coming soon listing and seeing if we could generate any other activity from any investors maybe we didn't know, see if we could get anything higher, and then go from there. And we were able to get a great offer right after we went coming soon, about 20K more than we were planning for, 20 to 25K more than we were planning for. Clients are very happy, investors are getting a deal. It worked out for everyone. So making sure that your agent has some kind of a style, negotiation style, and a plan. Certainly ask what the commission rate is, but also what does it include. If your agent's charging you, say, 4%, and you have to still pay for the professional photography, and they're not doing any additional marketing on social media, I'd think twice about that. So making sure not only you know what the commission rate is or their compensation rate is, but also what do you get for that? Do you get professional photography? Do you get drones? Do you get 3D tours? Do they do any additional marketing via social media? So having an idea of what comes with that compensation rate is important. Definitely asking if they'll be the direct point of contact. Again, some agents are super successful, but they have a team underneath them, and you're only going to be dealing with the team. You're not going to be dealing directly with that agent, and that can feel like a betrayal, honestly. If you haven't had anything come up, and if you have something come up and you can't get a hold of your agent and you're talking to someone who's trying to get read in on your transaction, that can be very frustrating. So making sure you know who you're going to be communicating with throughout. It's also, I think, appropriate to ask the agent how large their office is, because that can tie in as well. Is there support? Are they local? I can't tell you how many times there's an Orlando or Tampa agent trying to help sell here in Polk County, and they don't understand the market here, because the market here is very different than Tampa and Orlando. And it's the same the other way around. If I'm listing a home in Orlando or Tampa, I don't know it as well as a local agent, and there can be advantages to that, to hiring a local agent. There also can be disadvantages in that they can be biased and not understand the bigger picture of the market. So you want to make sure really whoever you're working with has a good understanding of the market in general, and then more specifically your area and what you're looking for. Knowing what kind of network your agent has. So what's the reach of their office, and even franchise. So again, with RE/MAX, obviously we're the most recognized brand in real estate. We have agents all over the world. And that means exposure for your properties all over the world, and that can definitely be an advantage in today's market. And we also work as a team in my office, which means that we're going to help each other sell our listings. And so we are an our office of 20 agents. That means you're going to have 20 agents trying to help sell your home. Definitely ask the agent what your marketing strategy is. They should have one. If it consists of putting the property in the MLS and then putting a sign in the yard, and then when it goes in the MLS, it goes to Zillow, Trulia, Homes.com, but there's nothing additional to that, I would ask some more questions, because it takes more than that to sell a home in this market. They ought to have a digital marketing plan. They ought to have a plan on open houses. They ought to have a plan on direct mail marketing. So there's a number of things that should be involved in getting your home sold, and they should be able to talk you through that and explain what that is for them. Definitely ask them what they're seeing in the market right now. I know I actually start my listing appointments talking about what's happening in the market in general, sort of the economy, really big picture, the housing market, and then I nail down to the specific neighborhood and what's going on in the market in their neighborhood. And I think that's really important. You want to make sure that your agent has a good understanding of what's really happening in the market. And that's part of why I do market update videos. One is obviously for my subscribers to benefit from and learning what's happening in the market, so they can make the best decisions for themselves on whether it's the right time to buy or sell for them. But it's also to keep me honest and make sure that I'm following what's going on in the real estate market as well, and that forces me to do so. Number 11, ask what their policy on dual agency is. There are some states where it's not allowed at all. Dual agency is basically working with both sides of a transaction. Florida is actually a transaction brokerage state, which means that, and does not prohibit dual agency, which means an agent can technically work both sides of a transaction. At that point, they are a transaction broker, and they're focused on helping the parties get to the closing table. They're not looking out for one party over another. But make sure you understand, number one, that your agent understands what that is, and number two, that they explain to you what happens and how they're going to handle dual agency. And then finally, you want to ask if they have recommended tradespeople to help get the home ready to list. And maybe not even just ready to list. Maybe your home is ready to list, but during a home inspection, things might come up. Do they have a list of tradespeople that can come in and help fix those things quickly so you can stay on track with your closing on time? So those are 12 questions to ask a prospective listing agent if you're thinking of selling your home. I would love the chance to meet with you and answer those questions for you. So if you are looking to sell anywhere here in Central Florida, in particular Polk County, I'd love the opportunity. Remember, you can't miss with Chris. Have a great day, everybody.